Hey guys, want to hop on here for a quick moment. I was in a live earlier today and great conversation was had, talked about, discussed regarding processing unprocessed trauma. I have a whole video on that, so I'm not going to go and rehash those things, but what I do want to do is talk about 10 signs that if you are experiencing them could be a signal, could be a locator beam to the fact that you may have some unresolved, unprocessed, untapped, unrevealed trauma, right? That needs to be processed. So unprocessed stuff these are 10 signs that you might have some unprocessed things going on. So number one, emotional triggers, right? Strong, seemingly out of proportionate emotional reactions to certain people, places, or things. So if you have that going on, if there are places you go, people you see, certain circumstances that happen, and you seem disproportionately angry, upset, frazzled, annoyed, that might be a signal that you have some unresolved, unexamined, unprocessed trauma related to that person, place, thing, event, circumstance. Certain smells, right? If you've had certain traumas, you smell a certain thing and you all of a sudden are overwhelmed, right? With an emotion, that might be a signal that you have some unprocessed trauma around that smell. There's a book that's called The Body Remembers What the Mind Forgets. I think that's the name of the book. And it talks about how sometimes our body has these emotional or psychosomatic responses to unprocessed trauma. I don't even remember the thing, but my body remembers it, and therefore it's a signal that there might be something that's not processed. Number two, chronic anxiety or hypervigilance. So I know I'm from what people will call the hood. I'm from the hood. And so there are some times where you got to keep your head on the swivel. We're not talking about being wise. We're not talking about wisdom. We're not talking about appropriate care and concern. These are all inappropriate responses. So if you're constantly, consistently feeling on edge, as if something bad is about to happen, as if somebody is out to get you, as if something is like there's something nefarious going on at all times, that chronic anxiety or hypervigilance can be a sign that there's some unprocessed content, unprocessed trauma, experience, something that you press down that you haven't resolved yet, that causes you to kind of constantly be on the edge. Number three, avoidance behaviors. So avoiding people, places, and things consistently, saying like, I just ain't going there. Well, why? Why won't you go there? What comes up for you if you have to go there? So avoiding people, conversations, situations that remind you of that past experience. Now, again, we don't want to push anybody into a situation where they feel unsafe. But again, if you feel unsafe and it is a safe situation, then that might be a signal that there is some unprocessed trauma, unprocessed content. I like to say content because not everything is trauma. Sometimes it's just an experience that you had that you haven't been able to talk about that needs to be processed. Number four, difficulty in general regulating your emotions. Okay, if you have difficulty in general regulating your emotions, if you struggle with consistent, constant mood swings, irritability, agitation, feeling, this is a good one, feeling emotionally numb, even the ability or even the circumstance where you are unable to feel feelings is a sign that you might have some unprocessed content going on. Again, unprocessed trauma, unprocessed thoughts, feelings, behaviors, emotions, things that you haven't dealt with yet. Because your body is constantly in a state of flux. Your mind is constantly in a state of flux, trying to keep that unprocessed stuff at bay. And so what happens is it spikes, and then you have a reaction, and then it goes down when you get it under control again, and you spike when you have a reaction. And so the goal of processing some of this stuff is to keep you more level. Hey honey, and thank you. And so, hey, Living Jay's Way, welcome. Okay, so we're talking about some signs that you might have some unprocessed content or trauma. We talked a lot about processing those things. Well, how do you know? How do you know that you have them? These are some signs. So if you're just coming in, number one, emotional triggers. Number two, chronic anxiety or hypervigilance. Number three, avoidance behavior, things you just ain't fitting to do, ain't going. I'm not coming to your house. I'm not coming to your party. I would love to. I would love I would love to, but I can't come there because it brings something up for me, right? Number four, regulating emotions. And we were talking about how when you have very erratic emotional states, and we're not talking about people that have been diagnosed with mental health disorders and they're wrestling with that. We're talking about just in general. You've never processed your emotions and you're constantly going up and down, or you're constantly numb. You cannot access any of the wide range of emotions. That might be a sign that you have some unprocessed content. Again, I don't want to call it trauma because everything is not a trauma. It could be traumatic to you, or it could have just been unsettling. It could have been something that you never have been able to give voice to, right? It could have been something that you've never been able to feel free enough to talk about. So those are also things that need to be processed, right? Hi, Serene, in the making as well. All right, number five, negative self perception. If you have a consistent negative self perception, feeling unloved, feeling unworthy, feeling not good enough, feeling like you are a burden to others due to the trauma that you've experienced, due to the experiences you have had. Like, I don't want to put this on nobody else. I'm not going to share. I'm just not, like, not wanting to take up space. I know we talk a lot about that, especially as certain marginalized groups, this idea that we're taking up space, or that we don't feel safe enough to exist in our environment. That generally comes from having that negative self-perception. Absolutely, you deserve to take up space. Absolutely, you deserve to be in a room when you come in. Hey, thank you, I'm here. Yes, thank you, you're welcome, I'm here. I have come to share all my beautiful lights and love and glory. Yes, but instead you feel like I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. You struggle with imposter syndrome, right? You have that unlovable thing, like I have to change for people to like me. All of that can be a signal, that negative self perception can be a signal that you are still living from a place where you feel unworthy, unloved. And that's usually the result of something that has happened to you. Somewhere you heard that message, somewhere you got the idea, somewhere in your story, in your process, in your timeline, um that sometimes that happens. And so you have to look at that as a signal. Where did I hear this story, right? Where did I hear that I wasn't good enough? Where did I feel unloved, unworthy, right? And then process that information, process that experience, process that voice. I always ask people, who, when you hear those negative thoughts, right? When you hear those automatic negative responses in your head, do you hear it in your voice or do you hear it in someone else's voice? Again, that's some free therapy for y'all in the chat. Ask yourself, whose voice do I hear it in? Do I hear it in my voice? Have I adopted somebody else's story about me and now it's my story about myself? Or do I hear it from a place of, was it your grandmom, your mom, your dad, your aunt? Right? It's a signal to help process. Number six, struggles with trust and intimacy. Okay? I have to take a pause because sometimes, because we have lived where we have been exposed, violated, hurt, abandoned, rejected, all of those things, we're like, I am trusting no one and nobody, which keeps you safe to a certain degree, but it also doesn't allow you to have full relationships, right? It doesn't allow you to be vulnerable in relationships, in any intimate relationship. And intimate meaning close, not sexual. Any intimate relationship requires a level of vulnerability, right? So if you consistently struggle with trust and intimacy, that's usually a sign that you're still living under the assumption that everybody is out to hurt you. Everybody is you're going to get the getters before they get you. You are not you're not even willing to try to take the wall down. And that can be a sign that there's some unprocessed content. Difficulty forming deep relationships, fearing that abandonment so much so that you self-sabotage relationships. Meaning, I'm going to blow this thing up before you get to me. Before you hurt me, like I said, I'm going to get you before you get me. Before you hurt me, I'm going to dip on this, on this situationship, right? And that can, again, not only in romantic context, that could be with friends, that could be with colleagues, that could be with coworkers, that could be in ministry obligations, church relationships. It could be in all manner of relationships. Number 7, and I only got a couple more points. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Number 7, unexplained physical symptoms. Hey, Stash. Unexplained physical symptoms. We're talking about signs that you might have some unprocessed content or trauma that you might want to take a look at. So all of these are going to be signs, and I'll go through them one more time at the end. Hey, Miss Chip. Unexplained physical symptoms. So if you randomly have unexplained physical symptoms, another thing I say to people that have difficulty identifying your emotions, a lot of times your emotions will show in your body, right? If you are stressed, you get a headache. If you are nervous, you might get a stomach ache, right? So most of the time, we have what's called psychosomatic symptoms. So if I am carrying around unprocessed trauma, unprocessed content, unprocessed experiences, right? Sometimes that will show up in my body. Random pains, chronic pain, headaches, stomach aches, chronic fatigue without any clear medical cause, right? There's no you go to the people, the doctors, and they're like, we don't know. We shrug shoulders, right? Shrug shoulders. Because they don't know, they can't explain it, but you feel horrible. Are you carrying something that you need to process, right? Yes, and I am good. I am going to call you Mr. or Miss. I tell people all the time, I was raised by a Southern grandma, and that's the first thing that comes out, okay? I'm sorry. And I'm not that, people were like, oh, you must be, how old are you? I am not as young as I look. However, I'm finna call you Mr. or Mrs., okay? Number 8, self-destructive habits. And I see this one all the time. We talked a little bit about this in a live earlier. Those self-defeating, self-sabotage, self-destructive habits. Okay? Self-destructive habits, engaging in addiction. So that could be food, that could be sex, that could be gambling, that could be substance, all of those things, all of those addictions, reckless behavior, right? I remember a couple years ago when everybody was like YOLO, everybody was doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, y'all need to process some trauma because I should not live like my last day is today unless I know my last day is today or I have nothing to look forward to, right? I'm not saying you got to be, never have fun, but to live in a reckless manner, it signals, it's almost like that, again, that self-defeating, self-destructive. I might as well just throw the whole thing on throw the whole thing on fire. Again, that's usually a sign that something is going on internally that you might need to process. And there are people that use self-sabotage as a coping mechanism. I am afraid of what it looks like to succeed. I'm afraid of the responsibility. I'm afraid to move forward. I'm afraid that I will now be responsible to hold up this image of perfection. And therefore, I am going to blow it up way before it gets to that point. I'm going to stop being in a relationship. I'm going to stop doing whatever it is that I'm doing that's making me successful because I don't want the weight of having to carry it. Sign of unprocessed trauma. Where have you struggled in the past to maintain something good? Also linked to what I said before, not thinking you're good enough to have anything good. All right, signs of unprocessed content. Number 9, repeated or repetitive negative thought patterns. If you are the type of person that thinks that everything is going to be bad all the time, no matter what, that came from somewhere. Because while bad things do happen, negative things do happen, struggles will come, struggles do happen, that is not the entirety of your story, right? And so I used this example before. I always got old water bottles, so don't judge my life. I used this example before. people will say, okay, this water bottle is almost empty. There's not a lot of water in here. I can choose to look at the water that's in here and be like, I'm thirsty, I need more water. Or I can say, you know what, hey, I had water. I drank the water. This water, there is air in this bottle. There's water in this bottle. This bottle is full, just depending on what I decide to look at. So it's all about how your mind chooses to focus on the things. Okay, so you can have a negative worldview or you can have a positive worldview. Hey Jay, so both of those things are true at the same, can be true at this. You can look at this more than one way. Okay, so if you repetitively, consistently go to the negative without any regard, it's all or nothing. It's also called all or nothing thinking. It's either all bad, it's always all bad. That might be a sign that your worldview is lacking some dimension, lacking some clarity, lacking some processing. And again, I don't want anybody to be delusional. I am never going to say things are not bad. I'm not going to say things are not hard. That's not what, I'm not out here selling people wolf tickets. No, but you can choose the part of the story that you focus on. All right. And number 10, feeling stuck in the past. If you consistently feel like you live from a place of the past, that might be a sign that you are carrying around some unprocessed content because you have not been able to move forward. Again, I've said this on other platforms and other environments that your trauma, sometimes you live at the point in which your greatest trauma occurred if it's unprocessed. So sometimes I will feel like I operate as an 18-year-old if all my trauma happened when I was 18. My mental health, my emotional state, all of that goes back to what happened to me when I was 18, right? So having difficulty moving forward, and if the past still controls your present choices and emotions, that might be a sign that there is some unprocessed content, emotions, right? Yeah, I know everybody was hopping from live to live today. That you might want to deal with. So again, I'm gonna run them down real quick because I gotta get my son off the bus at 4 o'clock. I can't be playing on here on the YouTube streets. I'm already in between things like most of y'all be doing. But these are 10 signs that you may have some unprocessed content. Again, I don't want to keep saying trauma because it's not trauma for everybody. Number 1, emotional triggers. Number 2, anxiety or hypervigilance. Number 3, avoidance behaviors. Number 4, difficulty regulating your emotions. Number 5, consistent negative self-perception. Number 6, struggles with trust or intimacy. Number 7, unexplained physical symptoms. Number 8, self-destructive habits. You do things to hurt yourself. It's a sign that something is awry, right? Number 7, unexplained physical symptoms. Oh, I said that one already. And number 9, repeat negative thought patterns. And number 10, feeling stuck in the past, okay? So you want to make sure that if any of these patterns consistently come up in your life, to ask yourself, is there something, an event, a trauma, a person, a place, an experience, a behavior that remains unprocessed? And seek to rectify that. Because again, I'm always going to advocate therapy. I wouldn't do what I do if I didn't advocate therapy. However, sometimes it's just talking it out. Sometimes it's calling a friend. Sometimes it's getting prayer. Sometimes it's fasting. Whatever it is, you need to take that thing, look at it, examine it, dissect it, process it, right? I have a saying, pray, process, progress. It is very difficult to move past a thing that you have not processed, because processing is allowing your body, your mind, and your emotions to get on the same plane. And sometimes you process something and say, you know what, that was really messed up that happened to me. But you've had a chance to process it. Processing it doesn't mean you get over it. Somebody said that earlier in the live. No, it doesn't mean you get over it, because some things you don't get over. You just live through. Some things you live through, you don't get over. Okay. I don't know what I said. I don't know what I said to to say it one more again. I wish I did. But I think they put it in the chat. So my encouragement to you all, because like I said, I got 1 minute to get upstairs to get my son off the bus. If you notice these patterns in your life, take a moment and reach out for some assistance, because if they keep coming up, it is a sign that you are anchored to one place and one time, right? You are anchored to that content that remains unprocessed, and it's going to show up whether you want it to or not. It's going to show up. It's going to show back up. It's like Groundhog Day. You're like, oh. And sometimes, this is the last thing I'm gonna say because y'all not gonna keep me on here. Sometimes you process something, or you think you process something, and it's not until the thing, that trigger happens, then you realize, hey, there was some more of this. I need to process some more. So you guys have a blessed day. Have an amazing day. Thank you everybody who jumped in, who sat with me for a pair of seconds. I appreciate